Did you know your body can sometimes send quiet, almost invisible signals that the final chapter of life is approaching? And most families don't realize it until it's too late. The truth is, these signs don't always come as sharp pain or a serious illness. Sometimes it's something as small as sleeping more during the day, or suddenly losing interest in that favorite weekend meal you've loved for years. Because these changes feel so ordinary, we often brush them off until the doctor finally says there isn't much time left. In this video, I'm going to share 7 early warning signs that hospice doctors at Johns Hopkins and the Mayo Clinic have seen appear months before the end. They're easy to spot, and recognizing them early could help you bring peace, understanding, and comfort to your loved one during the most important moments. Don't ignore these signs. Sometimes they're the only whisper your loved one gives you. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? Or simply comment the word hope below if you believe that caring with love is more powerful than fear. And if you find this helpful, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more simple, compassionate health tips. Stay with me, because in the next couple of minutes, you may hear something that changes the way you see things forever. The first sign is one many families mistake for simple tiredness. But when an older adult suddenly starts sleeping much longer during the day or staying awake and restless all night, it's not always just aging. I remember talking to Mr. Lamb, an 81-year-old from the South. For years, he loved watching afternoon baseball replays. But over time, his daughter noticed he kept dozing off before the second inning even started. Within just a few weeks, he was sleeping up to 18 hours a day, then pacing quietly around the house at 2 or 3 in the morning. His family thought it was boredom, but doctors explained it was something more. His body had entered a new stage, one often seen in the final months of life. As we grow older, our bodies naturally start conserving energy. But when they begin shutting down deeper systems, digestion, circulation, even brain function, the first sign is often a change in sleep patterns. According to Harvard Medical School, the brain's internal clock can begin to misfire, turning day into night and night into day. When day and night start to blur together, it's not always a disorder. Often it's a message. The trouble is, when we fail to recognize that message, we miss an important opportunity, the chance to adjust how we care, to bring more comfort, or simply to be there during the moments that matter most. Sometimes we even find ourselves frustrated with our loved one, when in reality they may already be transitioning to a different stage of life. So what can you do? Start by gently keeping track of their sleep, and no high-tech gadgets needed. Just use a small notebook. Write down how many hours they rest at night and how many naps they take during the day. If you notice they're sleeping more than 15 or 16 hours a day for over a week, bring it up with their doctor. Catching this shift early can help guide the next steps with more clarity, compassion, and peace of mind. And remember, noticing this sign doesn't mean giving up. It means you're choosing to care with wisdom. Sometimes love looks like sitting quietly next to someone as they sleep a little longer than they used to, being fully present in the stillness. Now stay with me, because the next sign is often mistaken for something simple like forgetfulness, but in reality it can be far more meaningful. Sign number 2 is one that quietly breaks hearts and often goes unnoticed. It's when a loved one stops enjoying their favorite meals or begins to push their plate away after just a few bites. We tell ourselves maybe they're just tired, maybe their taste buds are changing. But sometimes there's a deeper reason. I'll never forget meeting Ethel, a gentle 82-year-old from Michigan. For over 6 decades, she baked her famous apple pie every Sunday, golden crust, warm cinnamon, and a sprinkle of love in every slice. One afternoon, she barely touched her pie. The next Sunday, she didn't even mention dessert. Within 2 months, she had lost more than 15 pounds. Her daughter feared it might be depression, or maybe a reaction to new medication. But the truth, as the doctors gently explained, was harder to hear. Ethel was entering the final phase of her life, and her body was quietly letting go. You see, in the later years, and especially in the last months, the body begins to change how it uses its energy. The Mayo Clinic's palliative care experts explain that the digestive system naturally slows down. It's not sadness, it's not stubbornness, it's biology. The body starts redirecting energy away from digestion, choosing instead to focus on keeping only the most vital systems running for as long as it can. That's why beloved dishes can suddenly taste bland. Why scents that once brought comfort now feel overwhelming. It's not about being picky. It's the body speaking in its own way. So what can you do? First, resist the urge to push large meals. Forcing food can cause more harm than good. Instead, offer gentle comfort in small bites. A spoonful of creamy mashed potatoes, a cup of soft, ripe fruit, or a warm, soothing broth. Quietly keep track of how much they eat without turning it into pressure. And if their appetite stays low for more than a week, especially if you notice weight loss, talk to their doctor. Most importantly, be there. Sit with them. Let the meal be about comfort, not calories. Sometimes love isn't measured in how full the plate is, but in the curve of a gentle smile, the spark of a shared memory, or the warmth of simply holding someone's hand. Up next, we'll talk about a sign many families confuse with simple loneliness, when in truth it may be the body preparing for something deeper. The third sign is easy to overlook because it can look like someone just wanting a little alone time. But when a person who used to love long phone calls, Sunday dinners, or chatting on the porch suddenly goes quiet, it may be more than just a bad mood. Take Franklin from Ohio. He was 84, and no matter the weather, he never missed his Friday poker night. He'd stroll in with his lucky hat and a pocket full of peppermints, always ready with a laugh. Then one week he skipped the game. The next he ignored his grandson's call. His daughter assumed he was simply tired, maybe feeling a little off. But as the weeks passed, Franklin kept retreating. No more family gatherings, no friendly wave to the neighbor across the street. When the doctor spoke with his family, they explained gently that Franklin was entering a natural stage many people go through near life's end. According to palliative care specialists at Johns Hopkins, social withdrawal isn't always depression. Sometimes it's the mind and body turning inward, a way of preparing, letting go quietly and slowly. If we don't recognize this, we might take it personally or push for interaction, not realizing that what our loved one truly needs is gentle presence, not endless conversation. And when we push too hard, we miss the chance to give the one thing that matters most: company without pressure. Leave the door open, not just physically, but emotionally. Offer moments, not expectations. A simple hello, the warmth of your hand resting in theirs, sitting quietly together in the same room, maybe sharing a favorite song in the background. And most importantly, don't take it personally. This isn't rejection, it's reflection. When someone you love begins to step back from the world, ask yourself gently, are they seeking solitude or are they seeking peace in their own way? Sometimes caring isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it with deeper love and presence. Stay with me, because next we'll talk about a surprising mental shift that many families mistake for dementia, when in reality it can mean something very different. The fourth sign may seem unusual, even a little unsettling at first, but it's far more common than you might think. If a loved one begins speaking softly with people who have long since passed away, or seems to drift between clear thinking and moments of confusion, don't immediately panic. This isn't always dementia. Let me share the story of Vernon, an 86-year-old from Florida. In so many ways, his mind was still sharp. He never forgot his grandkids' birthdays, could recall the lyrics of songs from his youth, and even debated politics with the mailman. But as evening came, his daughter began hearing him talking quietly in the living room. At first, she assumed he was on the phone. Then one night, she heard him say, "Martha, I know you're here." Martha was his wife. She had passed away 6 years earlier. His daughter's heart sank. She feared the worst: memory loss, Alzheimer's, confusion. But after speaking with hospice specialists, she learned something far more profound. According to neurologists at the Cleveland Clinic, in the later stages of life, the brain can experience shifts, sometimes due to reduced oxygen levels, other times because of changes in how it processes memory and time. These changes can create moments that feel out of place, conversations with loved ones who have passed, or stories from decades ago, told as if they happened yesterday. And here's the part many people don't expect. Sometimes these moments bring peace. They can serve as a gentle farewell, a bridge between the world we live in now and the one that awaits. The mistake many families make is trying to correct their loved ones, saying things like, "Mom, that's not real," or "Dad, you're confused." But trying to correct these moments often does more harm than good. It can cause confusion, distress, and sometimes even fear. Instead, take a softer approach. Sit beside them. Listen. If they're smiling, let them enjoy that smile. If they're recalling something beautiful, invite them to share more. You might even write these moments down. They could be treasured memories they've never spoken aloud before, small, fragile gifts wrapped inside fleeting minutes. So if this happens, don't see it as something broken. It might just be something sacred. In just a moment, we'll explore another sign, one that doesn't show up in words at all, but in the body's strength, or the sudden loss of it. The fifth sign is one many of us ignore until it's too obvious to overlook, when someone suddenly finds it exhausting just to stand up, or when they need help with things they've done for years, pouring a cup of coffee, buttoning a shirt, or walking across the room. This isn't always just getting older. Sometimes it's the body speaking in a quieter, more serious way. Take Carmen, an 83-year-old from Texas. Every morning she walked to her mailbox and watered her roses, tending them with quiet pride. Then one spring morning, her daughter noticed Carmen struggling to push herself out of her chair. A few days later, she needed help getting to the bathroom. She hadn't fallen, she wasn't sick, but something had changed. A visit to her doctor revealed the truth. Her body was starting to shut down gently, gradually, and it was showing in her strength first. Experts from the American Geriatric Society explain that in the final months of life, the body often redirects energy away from the muscles to keep the vital organs functioning. Even with rest and good nutrition, muscle strength fades. It's not laziness, it's not lack of willpower. It's the body doing exactly what it needs to do, one quiet shift at a time. The danger is that if we don't notice this change, we might push our loved ones too hard, telling them to keep moving or try a little harder. This can lead to falls, injuries, and emotional frustration for everyone. Worse yet, it can leave them feeling as though they're failing. Here's what helps instead: start with safety. Remove slippery rugs. Install grab bars near the toilet and shower. Place sturdy chairs throughout the home so they can rest often. And most importantly, change the expectation. Let them do what they can, but be ready to support them without judgment. Support what they can do and accept what they can't with grace, not guilt. If someone you love is suddenly losing strength, don't brush it aside. See it for what it is, a quiet message from their body asking for gentleness. And in just a moment, we'll talk about another message, one that doesn't come through movement at all, but through breath itself. The sixth sign is subtle, but it can take your breath away quite literally. When someone you love begins breathing differently, perhaps in short, shallow bursts, in quick, rapid cycles, or with long pauses in between, it's not always just age catching up. It can be a sign that the body is slowing down in a much deeper, more significant way. I think of Raymond, a 79-year-old retired firefighter from Georgia, strong as oak, even in his later years. His wife Elaine told me that during his afternoon naps, his breathing began to change. He'd breathe quickly for a few minutes, then suddenly stop. She would hold her own breath, waiting, her heart pounding, and just when she was about to touch his shoulder, he'd take another soft, quiet inhale, as if nothing had happened. It frightened her, but she didn't want to overreact. Later, doctors explained that it wasn't an emergency. According to the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization, changes in breathing are common in the final weeks or months of life. As the lungs and heart work less efficiently, the body begins to adapt, conserving energy, shifting its rhythms. One pattern called Cheney-Stokes breathing can bring clusters of breaths followed by pauses. Here's the important thing: when we don't understand what's happening, we often rush to the hospital or push for treatments that may not bring comfort, just more stress. But when we recognize that it's a natural part of the body's process, we can focus on what matters most: easing discomfort, creating peace, and simply being present. If you notice these breathing changes, here's what can help. Keep the room calm and quiet. Gently elevate their head with pillows to make breathing easier. Sometimes a small fan or an open window can bring soothing relief. And always talk to their doctor or hospice nurse, not to fix the breathing, but to guide care in the gentlest way possible. Elaine told me that once she understood what was happening, the fear lifted. She no longer sat in silent worry. She sat in love. Elaine told me that from then on, she simply sat beside Raymond, holding his hand, listening to the gentle rhythm of his breath, knowing in her heart she was giving him exactly what he needed. Stay with me, because this last sign is different. It's not physical, it's emotional, and yet it can be just as powerful. The seventh sign is often overlooked because it doesn't appear in the body at all. It appears in the heart. When someone you love suddenly starts talking about old regrets, giving away treasured belongings, or asking to speak with someone they haven't contacted in years. It's often not random. It can be a quiet sign that they feel something is drawing to a close. Lawrence, an 85-year-old from Nevada, shocked his family one morning by asking to speak to his brother, a man he hadn't spoken to in 15 years. No one even remembered why the two had stopped talking, but Lawrence remembered. And that morning he simply said, "It just doesn't sit right anymore." Soon after, he began giving away his old tools, each one handed over with a smile and a story. "This one's for Jason," he said. "He always stood beside me when I worked with it." His daughter worried. She thought maybe he was giving up. But his hospice nurse gently explained this was part of emotional preparation. According to the National Institute on Aging, many people nearing life's end feel a deep need to finish what's unfinished, not only in a practical way, but in a spiritual sense. They may want to make peace, repair relationships, or pass on something meaningful. This process helps them let go in peace and gives their loved ones a chance to find meaning in the moment. If we ignore these moments, we risk missing the deepest connections, the ones where every word carries weight and even silence feels full. Here's what you can do. If they mention a name, a memory, or a wish, don't dismiss it. Help them write that letter, make the phone call. Listen to the story even if you've heard it a dozen times before. And if they want to give something away, let them. That object might mean little to you, but it could mean everything to them. Sometimes the last thing someone needs isn't more medicine, it's a moment of peace, a word of forgiveness, a legacy passed on. When we notice these signs, the glance, the pause, the quiet gaze that says, "Don't leave just yet," we learn to love more gently, more deeply, right up to the very end. If we're not truly paying attention, we can miss these moments entirely. I think of Margaret, a 78-year-old from Wisconsin. She wasn't the type to complain or to ask for much. But in her final weeks, every time her daughter stood to leave the room, Margaret would glance over. It wasn't sadness, it wasn't fear. It was a gentle softness in her eyes, not clinging, but quietly hoping someone would stay just a little longer. Her daughter didn't understand it at the time. Only later did she realize those looks were her mother's way of saying, "I don't want to be alone right now." According to research shared by Harvard Health and AARP, many seniors, especially in the later stages of illness, may speak less and less, but that doesn't mean their emotional needs fade. In fact, those needs often grow stronger. They may not ask outright for company, but their eyes, their hands, their posture still speak volumes. If we overlook these silent requests, we risk leaving them in emotional isolation, even when we're only a few feet away. And here's the truth. This isn't about constant conversation or keeping them entertained. It's about presence. What you can do is simple. You don't need perfect words. You don't even need to say much at all. Sit beside them, hold their hand, read aloud from an old letter, play a song they've loved for decades. Even 5 quiet minutes of being fully present can make someone feel seen, safe, and loved. If someone close to you has grown quieter than usual, watch their eyes. They might be asking you to stay. Because in the end, it's not the grand gestures we carry with us. It's the small ones, the still moments, the shared silences, the soft glances that say without words, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Final reflection. Recognizing these signs isn't about fear. It's about love, the most human kind of love, one that shows up in the quiet when words aren't needed. Thank you for spending this time with me. My hope is that today's message reminded you that even the smallest, quietest signs can hold profound meaning, and that with just a little attention, gentleness, and compassion, we can bring peace, dignity, and connection to life's final chapters. If something in this video touched your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts below, or simply type the word hope as a reminder to yourself and to others that none of us walk this path alone. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and share this with someone who might need it, a friend, a neighbor, or a family member walking a similar journey. Until next time, may your days be gentle, your moments meaningful, and may you always feel surrounded by love, even in the quiet.